Welcome to Playful Podcast, your guide into the underground scene where we discover topics on kink and electronic music every week. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on our next episode. We are here today with Maria Riot. In our conversation, we talk about porn and sex work as a profession, role models within the field, and what porn performing brings besides money. I am Amanda, and this is Playful Podcast. We're so excited to have you here. This is so nice. And you're, by a coincidence, you were in Berlin.
Yes.
That's
awesome
amazing for us. To dive right in, like as a teenager, everyone gets like curious about sex and these things. And of course, you also did. Do you want to tell us about how your interest in porn turned out to a profession? Like how it led your way to what you today do?
Mm-hmm. I found porn through Tumblr. I found lots of pages that were about female pleasure, aesthetic visuals that were erotic. And I was like, wow, this is really hot and really different of what I expected to porn to be. And then I found a lot of the people doing it there, like a lot of performers, a lot of sex workers posting their content in Tumblr. And I discovered it like 2013. It was when I started doing webcams, when I saw these performers like some years ago. And in that year, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it, because I was having really bad jobs that they were really exploitative, paying really bad. They were not giving me any contracts. So I was like, okay, some years ago, I found these things in Tumblr. They were really interesting to me. I saw it as a job option because I never had so much morality around sex. So it appears to me as another option in the work field. It was not something that I saw as incorrect or bad, even though I had little things surrounding it that I think because of the society we live in. I also went to a religious school when I was a kid. So, of course, I had like a Christian way of seeing porn and the guilt and everything, but how I really am, it is without this morality about sex. So I just saw it as an option, and when I saw these performers doing it, I started investigating about it, and I just did it. And after 1 year, it was just a natural process to me to start doing porn after doing webcamming. I just felt comfortable with myself doing sexuality work. And I remember one session with a client looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, this looks good. I could do it with a camera here. And some weeks later, I found a performer, a Spanish performer called Amarna Miller, that she had a blog where she wrote about the experience she had in porn. And I never had read about it. Like, you always see the porn and that's it. You don't know much about the backstage. You only can read interviews, but never someone really writing about it. So this was really interesting to me, and I realized that I had a lot of misconceptions.
What did it say? Like,
she was telling almost everything. She was telling how the process of doing it was. She was posting little videos and pictures about the productions, and she was working also in amateur kind of produce porn, and this was what interested me, like this type of porn she was doing it besides mainstream porn. And I contacted her, and she told me, like, yeah, just write the companies you like and start working for them, and that's what I did.
Wow. But so you never even tried mainstream porn or like commercial porn?
No, I never was interested really in doing that type of porn. I was offered to do mainstream porn, but I never was satisfied with what they were offering, the payment, the work I had to do. I even once had a casting for a really big production, and the casting was in the hotel of a director, and I had to pose naked for him, and he was looking at my body like if I was, I don't know, I didn't feel comfortable
Judgy
doing it. Yes, like
okay.
seeing like how do you look, and I had already castings for other productions that were independent, and they were nothing like this. So I just compare them and say, I don't feel comfortable in doing this, even if this is gonna be really popular and it's gonna make me to have a lot of fans around the world, and I'm gonna shoot with this amazing known performer. It was just not worth for me. It was like I'm putting myself in a place where I don't feel comfortable, where I had to do things that I don't want.
Yeah.
And I just didn't do it. And I just decided to keep on doing the porn I always intended to do. That was this type of porn that is more artistic, and that the way it's done, it's really different and special for me. And yeah, I just keep with doing it.
It really feels like you knew your own morals from a young age. Like, thinking back, I think that's like, to many people, to me, it was definitely the trial and error. And I didn't know like the way of consequence thinking when I was young. But hearing you saying like, you had, I come from a religious background, and I had to find out what my view is on this. Like, I think that's really, it seems like you grew up very fast. Like, you were like, I like this, I don't like this. Having a, how do you think you kind of like figured these things out so quick?
I think I had to push myself to do it. I was not in a really good place. I always live in a kind of a small city in Buenos Aires, Argentina. There was nothing there. I just want to discover the world. I just wanted to go out my house, to not live with my family anymore. I wanted to escape these exploitative works where I was. So I felt like I don't have any other option. Like, I had to do it. I had to find myself and to find what I want to do. I didn't have like money to go to study and to try different careers. I was just like trying to study one career. I was studying fashion design, and it was really expensive. And then I quit because of it was really expensive, and I couldn't handle to have a job and study at the same time. I live far away. I never live in the center of Buenos Aires, so it was like 2 hours travel to go and 2 hours to come back from university every day. This was really hard, and I realized this is not the type of life I want. And when I found this porn community, I felt maybe I can find more freedom here. Maybe I can find myself here in an easier way and faster way than in these other ways I'm trying to live my life. And I just did it. And I was always interested in this type of porn because I was always interested in art. And I felt like I could do art in this way. Like, I am really interested in erotic art. And I felt like this was a nice way to do it. And they also pay you for doing it. So for me, it was just a good way to start doing something with my life. And I had to risk a lot of things for that. I had to try a lot of things, and I had to migrate to a country, to another, to be without papers for a time. A lot of people ask me how to do it because they just see social media and they see like you working for companies and traveling around the world, and I had to say that you had to risk a lot of things to do it. And I don't know if I recommend it because I don't know if so many people are gonna find it that it's worth, but for me it was because I didn't have much.
Yeah, I guess to speak about what you're risking, I guess it's since we're living in a society that is very judgy and that is very female judgy.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to go against that force. And I mean, if you would apply for a job now, like to be a lawyer, I guess couldn't do that, or is that it, for example?
I think maybe I could do it because I'm an activist. So I have like
Yeah.
maybe less stigma because I am in the, I don't know, in the sex work rights movement. So I could work related to that. But if you are not, or if you come from a different background, it could be more difficult. Or if I want to be a politician, I know that in every tweet about me, there will be a photo of me naked, you know, because this is how you punish people for doing sex work or being sexual. Like people wants to make you feel guilty of what you're doing because the morality is there. So of course there are gonna be a lot of risks. I decided to take them, but I think that people that want to do sex work, they outweigh these risks that exist. And it's not only about the careers, it's about also your family. My family is supportive about me, and I'm really lucky to have that. And I know a lot of sex workers that also their family supports them. But there is a big part where this is not happening. And a lot of them hide all their lives to their families of what they're really doing, and even to your loved ones, your friends, your partner. Sometimes they're not going to support you. So I think there are a lot of risks that people don't know, and that's why we fight against stigma. That's why it's one of the main reasons why we do activism. It's because to change the notion and judgment that people has about sex work, because we have it around sex. And this, of course, is going to make any work related to sexuality like a big deal.
Yeah. Were your parents always supportive of you? Like even when you were, because when did you start with sex work? Was it also?
It was 2021.
2021. Okay, so it's, I'd say not that young compared to like, because it is an easy, especially if you grew up in a household that where you don't have a lot of money and you want to help support your family and these things, then it's, but then it feels like maybe because you, and then you had already done the research. Like it sounds like you did the education online, just like in any profession, like taking the education and then going out to the real life.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you were prepared for it when you started?
I was prepared, or I thought I was prepared. Then with the years, I realized maybe I was not that much, because maybe you're never 100% prepared for a job. Even if you go to university, you have to do practices and you have to learn with the process of doing it. And the thing is that 10 years ago, there was not too many information as there is now. When I look about sex work online, I only found really mainstream documentaries about sex work, and they were all about crimes, drugs, robbery. Now you can find a lot of things about sex work. There is a big community online. At that time, I remember, like in Argentina, we were like 3 sex workers on Twitter that I remember really like posting every day and being really active. Like now you can see thousands of them. Same with doing, like people doing in-person sex work. There was only 2 people giving interviews in Argentina. One is the secretary of the Union of Sex Workers in Argentina, AMAR. She's called Georgina Orellano. And she was really important for me in this process, because I remember reaching out to her and talking, and she was really helpful and inviting me to go to the Union to know things to be safer. And that's why I think unionizing and doing activism is so important. I had the tools because I went to an union and I learned from other sex workers working in sex work for a lot of years. But without this, I would be really lost. I will be without knowing anything, and just like now you can read a lot of things online, but at that time it was not that easy. So I can't imagine how it was years before of that. even though I was prepared, there was a lot of things I didn't know, and there was a lot of things that I did wrong, and a lot of things even happened to me. Like I remember the first time a video of me was posted online, someone downloaded it and put it with my real name. And this was like really devastating for me because my family supported me, but at that time they didn't know.
Oh,
I was lying to them for 1.5 years or 2 years, saying I was working as a secretary in a work, and not many people knew it. So when this happened, that someone was outing me like this, I became really paranoid, I became really stressed, and I didn't know how to deal with this. And the way I could deal with this was talking with other sex workers that I knew at the time, and they were supporting me.
The best support, I guess, because it's so easy to, like I was there was also some videos that leaked with me when I was 18. So you're just so young, and and if the person is threatening you, which was in, for example, my case, about like, this is gonna make you lose your job, this is gonna make your family turn their backs on you, and all these things, like, that's super painful. Like, you don't know where to turn. I didn't know where to turn. Like, I was having it inside of me, and the thoughts get really dark when you're that young. You're like, fuck, I ruined my whole life with these things. And yeah, so was that when you, like, I mean, finding that support must have helped you tremendously then, to get a nuanced look on and view on that, like, you are in power of your own body, no doubt. Like, or what did they tell you that you felt fueled by?
Yeah, they just tell me like, this happened to me, or like, there is nothing wrong what you did, and these affirmation words were just enough for me, because I felt really lost. I felt really lonely. I didn't have anyone to really talk about. Like, I was telling my friends I was doing sex work because I wanted them to know, but it was different to say something that this happens only to people working in the industry. I also feel like this pushed me to be like real and honest with myself, and thinking I really want to do this. Like I think I didn't really thought in the stigma until that day. That day for me was the day I say, okay, this is really happening. People are gonna know, and there is people existing like this. I knew who it was. The people like downloading my video and putting it with my name. It was someone that he knew me, and like, if someone that knew me was doing this, I couldn't imagine what else could I expect. But I don't know. I just felt like, yeah, maybe this is what I want to do, but I really didn't know. I was just trying and experimenting. But someone else wanted to make me feel guilty because of it. Someone wants to punish me and makes me ashamed. And I just say, okay, I'm not going to be ashamed of this. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. But this can ruin someone's lives. And I think people just do it and they are really not conscious of this. And at that time, I also had, I was dating with someone that was really not supportive of it. And he was threatening me to tell my family that I was doing sex work. So all of this made me tell my family, accept an interview about my work, like I was offering a radio, because someone knew I was doing this work. And I said, okay, I had to start preparing myself and being honest with this. And
reclaim the power.
Reclaim the power. But maybe without all of this shame, I would be like more low profile. I never have been so like voiceless about this. I don't know. It was just a decision I had to take because I didn't have. I felt at the time I don't have any other option. Like I have to talk and be upfront with myself and not hide myself, because if I had, first it's gonna be really hard because people are not accepting that I want to be low profile and just do this as a side thing in my life and move on. And second, because I thought if this is happening to me, it's because of the stigma, and I want the stigma to end.
You became an activist from the start. Like that's your way into it. That's really awesome because it's brought. Then you have fought for it for 10 years already.
Mm-hmm.
Like you did a lot of change. That's amazing. If we get back to the topic, like we were talking about, do you call it fair trade porn? I call it fair trade porn, but I don't know if it's the queer, feministic, fair trade, cool porn, and commercial. If you compare the two of them, like how would you say? I know now that you have not been like trying the commercial one, but what you know about it, like how does it differ when it comes to basically everything, like the process of like can you decide like the manuscript also in the other scenes in the other porn and not in the commercial, or like even behind the camera and also in front of the camera? How does it differ, do you think? Would you say?
I really don't know how to call it. Like it changed during the years. That it's how we call, like in the story history of this type of porn. Like some years ago, it was called porn for women, then ethical porn, feminist porn, and I think most performers, like, we are not happy with any of these definitions. I call it independent porn, but there is also companies that are big where they do this type of porn, so it's not really independent. I don't know. I try to just call it porn, because that's what it is. Maybe the porn I work, it's mostly queer, or they have really high standards in the ethical porn production, but I have friends working in mainstream porn where this is also happening. Or I have worked in porn productions that the look of it looks really mainstream, but they have a high ethical standard behind it. So I don't like really to divide it. I don't like this black and white thing that became with the years, where you see like, okay, the feminist porn is good, the commercial is bad. I think there are bad and good things in both worlds. And they're also connected because a lot of people working in mainstream also do queer porn, or like the opposite. So I don't know. I think there are good things in both, and there are problems with it too. Like I have worked in, for example, a post-porn production where it was all about feminism and the body and reclaiming your power, and it won prizes around the world, and they never pay me. They forgot I am vegan, and they just gave me bread for eating. It was hours of work without really clear directions of what we had to do. So yeah, this is feminist post-porn.
Yeah, you never know.
And this happened too. And then I work, or I once I visit a big company in Prague because a friend was working there. And what I saw was amazing. Like they were doing triple anal content, and everything was good. Like how they were treating the models, how the contracts were made. Everything was even more clear than in this punk do-it-yourself post-porn production where everything was a mess. So this is winning prizes because of the content, and the content is really cool, but behind the doors it was really bad. And this that looks really extreme, really explicit, really degrading, it's making a really big effort in the ethical part. So you never really know. I think the most ethical porn, it's the amateur do-it-yourself porn, like we can make ourselves because we put our own standards. But there is also a lot of companies in both worlds trying to do a better work. And this is because performers are asking for it. We're really, our voice is really loud and important in this, and we are reclaiming better conditions in the work, better payments, and this is happening in both worlds.
I mean, even though you have been an activist for so long, like, I guess, and you get thicker skin by having a strong community and knowing what you do, why you do it, and standing tall within it. I guess of course you come across stereotypes everywhere. What are some stereotypes that you come across?
I think the first one is people telling me I don't look like a sex worker. This happened to me a lot.
You don't look like they do in the movies.
Yes. Yeah, that's why I thought, maybe I don't look like a sex worker because what you have seen about sex work, it's in movies or mainstream media where the representation of a sex worker is just legs with stockings and high heels, because we are dishumanized in all of these representations. You don't have the face of a sex worker there. Most of the time we are no face bodies. This is changing with the years, mostly thanks to social media and sex workers fighting against the stigma, giving interviews, like being like, okay, this is me, this is what I do, this is my name. So now we can imagine a more diverse type of people doing sex work. But when I started, I remember even clients telling me, like, why you are doing this? You're not supposed to do this. I remember also having like purple hair, wearing like a type of lingerie that was not expected for them. So it was, really weird for me to have these things tell, because I was a sex worker and I am a sex worker, so I look like one. But yeah, I think these representations matter. And,
imagine like being a doctor and you're like gonna go into the emergency or like to the operation hall, and the patient is like, "No, you don't look like like a doctor. No, why are you doing this?"
It's really weird, and
it's weird that it comes from from the client itself.
But for me, it was good because they were also like, I was attracting more clients because they felt like I was a weird thing there. But yeah, and I think the second thing that people has lots of stereotypes, and the one I have come across more, is that you make a lot of money in sex work. That is easy money, that everyone can do it and earn a lot of money. And this is not happening to most sex workers I know. Like, I see a lot of people saying like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna do OnlyFans," like as a joke. And in my head, I am like, try it and see how hard it is. Like, you are not gonna make it. Like, I hope you do, but the reality is that thousands and thousands of people are trying, and it's really hard. And we only see the success stories on the media, like these sex workers or famous people that they became rich and they are buying houses thanks to OnlyFans. But my fellow sex workers, they are making a normal salary, a side income, or maybe earning a little bit more than the people that we know. But like rich people, thanks to OnlyFans or other type of sex work, I just don't know them so much. Like, there are stories, but it's not like that, because the ability to make a lot of money depends in a lot of facts, and it's a complex job. It's also hard to do it. Like, you are censored every day in social media, so you had to do a lot of marketing and promotion of your OnlyFans, for example, or your webcam shows. But then if you don't have any social media to do it, or every time you post a post it's delete, how you do it? You have to maybe pay other sex workers to promote it. You have to pay assistants. There are Telegram groups about it. Like, people don't know what is behind this, and it's a lot. And even sex workers that have a large following, when they want to capitalize it, maybe they can't, because not only because of the censorship, but because of the competition, because you are going to have a famous actress putting their OnlyFans to $3. So you're nobody known in the world putting your OnlyFans at $10, and they're not going to buy it, because you also has to offer something that is good enough for people to pay it, where they could find someone else or something else online. And also maybe you risk all of it, like you make all the work, all the effort, and then you earn little money, and you think, oh, it was for nothing. And you put all these risks we talked before, like losing your like main job, your family, your partner, everything for nothing. So people, I think they really think, okay, I'm going to be rich if I post a nude and people are going to buy it. And this is not happening most of the time.
When the actor, it was this big news that this actress was starting an OnlyFans. Also like, which was of course insane, but that's also promoting it from the wrong angle. Right? Like, it's for everyone. Everyone can do it. Look, like, I don't know. I guess also that disturbed a lot of the whole, but, or how do you feel that it's right now when you look at like how OnlyFans is used and being perceived?
I think that for being a sex worker, you had to have a lot of skills. It's not for everyone. A lot of people do it and then they quit because they realize it's not for them, that there is more work than what they think it's going to be. Yeah. Most of the time, the work is not sexual. Like, there is a lot of administrative work that happens, that is most of your time. Like, maybe you see a client for 1 hour, but you were posting an ad, paying for it, taking the photos, answering 1,000 messages, and then you see 2 clients of all these 1,000 messages, and you spend days, many days with this for them to just 1 hour of work. So when you're getting paid in that hour, it's not because of this client, it's also because of all the hours you were working. Yeah. So I think also these famous people doing OnlyFans, or some performers doing OnlyFans and earning a lot of money, and these stories going mainstream, they just don't represent the reality of what's happening to most sex workers. And I think also people love these stories because they love imagining themselves doing sex work and like earning a lot of money. Like, I see on Twitter a lot of times questions like, if you will be paid 1 million, you will do porn, and everyone is like, of course, when I sign up. And the reality is that most of the time you get paid 500 euros for a film. It's not like millions as people think. Yeah. The most I was paid for a movie was 1,200 euros. The minimum was nothing. So I think like people have a lot of imagination and expectation of sex work that is not really happening. And also there is a big taboo about money and about sex. So like a lot of sex workers don't talk about this. Or if they talk, it's because they are successful. Because it exists this part that is like, if you're doing sex work, you should be successful, because if you are not, why are you doing it? Yeah. There is a big shame in survival sex work, or people doing it because of mental health issues, for example, or having disabilities where it's really hard to do any other type of work. Like, one of the big reasons I started doing sex work, and I do sex work, is because I deal with mental health issues, and this work allows me to for example, if I am bad, to not work for 2 weeks and then work the other 2 weeks full time and make all the money in those 2 weeks. And this is not possible maybe in other work, where you had to work every day and you had to have a boss and you had to have hours where you had to be there. And I know a lot of sex workers that we are choosing this work not because the ability or because we want to be rich. It's because it's the work that fits our expectations the most.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of the debates that are going on are also not including sex workers at all, like about sex work, I mean, which is really strange. because that doesn't happen in other areas where discussions are going on.
Mm-hmm.
At least I haven't seen that. And speaking of, there's this one discussion that is about how the Nordic way, like the Scandinavian way, which is to illegalize sex work, and that, or like to buy sex work, either the one or the other, and that's to prevent trafficking. What's your view on that?
Yeah, the Nordic model or the Scandinavian model of sex work wants to punish clients, to give them fines or even jail to clients because of paying sex workers. This is happening in countries as Sweden, France, Ireland, and many others. With the time, it's becoming more and more. They want to do it also in Spain now. And this type of legalization around sex work is just putting sex workers in danger. And it's making sex work more unsafe because sex work is still existing where this is happening. It just happens more hidden. For example, workers that are in the streets, they go to a forest or the streets where there is less light. It's just not that they say, okay, I'm going to quit this job because now it's illegal for the clients to pay me. No, it's just like, okay, I had to do it. And I even had to do it more because there is less clients. So you're working more hours for less money with less time to make deals because everything has to be fast because you're afraid of the police seeing you. Also, people working indoors, sex worker working indoors, they are choosing to work for pimps because they feel more protected there. So these type of models appearing that wants to make magically sex work disappear, they're just making it more clandestine and more unsafe. It's not that sex workers are saying, okay, I'm going to find another job. In France, for example, only, I think, 300 sex workers make there is like a course that you do to learn other type of shows and you quit prostitution. And only 300 sex workers did this, or even less. I don't remember the exact numbers, but also France is giving 300 euros if you quit prostitution per month, and it's not even enough for pay a room. Like a room is half of that.
How did they come up with that?
I don't know. It's really crazy because most sex workers are also mothers. So they're not also feeding themselves, they're feeding their kids. And even they are supporting families in other countries. Like they're sending money to other people. So of course 300 euros is not going to make it. So this creates a vicious cycle where you're trying to quit prostitutions because the government is making you to do this, but then you can't. So how they want to solve trafficking or exploitation in sex work it's just making it worse. And in other countries, in other industries where trafficking exists, like agriculture, it's one of the main places where trafficking exists. We are finding different solutions. We are finding that reporting abuse, reporting exploitation to make the workers safer is making trafficking stop existing more and more. But in sex work, we don't use the same tools that we're using in other industries. Why? Because of the morality of it, because we are more scared of it, because we are more against it because it's sex. And the morality about sex is just different of imagining someone being trafficked in the agriculture. And this morality makes that you want to end with it, and to end with it, you put all these laws, all this criminalization around the globe, and it's just not making people to quit sex work because poverty still exists, the necessity of doing money still exists, and the ability to access other shows is difficult. So while the necessity of having money exists, sex work is gonna still exist. So you have to give rights to these people, and you have to also give other options for these people if they want to quit sex works. But this is not happening. Like, this is made just like, I criminalize you, and that's it. And you have to find your way.
And you're not part of our society.
Yes, you're not part of the society. You are being judged. And also maybe you go to jail. Like, in some countries, sex workers are going to jail. Not the clients, not the pimps. Like, sex workers are going to jail because they are working with other workers, and this is seen as a brothel, and this is raided, and then they take all the sex worker to jail. Like, this is happening in Argentina, in the UK, and in other many countries. And it's important that we know that what sex workers want is decriminalization. It's not legalization or regulation of sex work, because the legalization of sex work makes some types of work legal and others illegal. And a lot of the times this benefits only the business owners and not the workers. And we want an approach that really gives powers to the workers, because this is how we feel like we are going to fight against abuse, exploitation, and we can put better terms in our conditions. This is happening already in New Zealand, also in Victoria in Australia, and in Brussels, in Belgium. So this is happening already, like this being shown that this can happen. So why we are still insisting with a model that we see is not working? Like, we have the statistic, we have the studies, we have the papers that say this making sex workers not safe. Why we insist in doing it? Just because there is a morality against it, because we had this feminist view that sex has to be used and be for something, like for love, for pleasure, for having kids, but not for work. Why? Just because the moral view we have on sex.
Now we have come to the part of the podcast where, if you're a Patreon, you'll get the goods, the details on everything from what content Maria's fans are requesting to her biggest confidence tips and tricks. Don't miss this. Go to patreon.com/playfulmagazine and join in. What would you say is the best and worst thing about your job?
For me, the best of my work is the ability to know amazing people. For example, as you, like, I know you now because talking about sex work, I have known a lot of journalists, allies, fellow sex workers, people doing the shootings, like the crew. Like, I have known so many crazy good people thanks to this work. Like, the more open-minded, the smart people I have known thanks to sex work. I also have known amazing clients and amazing people that are paying for my services online. And I'm really grateful for all of this. I think also a big part of why I do sex work is because of the freedom I found in it. And this other freelancers could also agree with this, the ability to choose your own hours, the ability to make your own calendar and adjust yourself and adapt yourself to the work, and not having a boss telling you what time you should work. This is a big part for me of why I do sex work. I work in a brothel now, and one time, and it was really difficult for me to follow all these rules and the hours that I had to be there, the bosses and everything. And I realized, I'm doing sex work a big part because of not having this. That's why I quit the brothel, and I think I last 2 weeks there, because I realized, a big part of why I'm doing this is because of the ability to arrange myself when I'm working. So this is one of the best things for me. And the worst, I have to say, is the stigma. It really hurts. And even the ones that we are activists and we are fighting for it, we also have a stigma with ourselves. Like, sometimes you can feel not enough, that being a sex worker is not good, that people are not going to love you so much because you are a sex worker. You're going to have problems with your partner, maybe because of misconceptions, like things they don't understand. Maybe you can have problems with your family. You can have problems with the police, with the government, because of the criminalization of sex work, depending in what country you are. I don't know, there is a lot of things happening in sex work that are not good, and that's why we are trying to change.
Yeah. Do you feel also that you're that it gives you energy somehow? Like, do you see it change?
Yeah, I see changes.
Yeah.
I see, like, for example, the criminalization of sex work in New Zealand happened because of a collective of sex workers working with the politicians to happen. Or now that some months ago it happened in Belgium, this happened because of an union working for it. So I see that activism changed things. I see a lot of messages that reach me of sex workers or former sex workers saying, like, thanks to you, I'm not ashamed anymore of myself. I remember one message that really got me of an ex-sex worker that she said that she was feeling really guilty and ashamed for it for years, and it was something that really haunted her. And since seeing my interviews, she felt better and she felt not ashamed anymore. And shame can be really negative emotion to have. So to know that you can make an impact in the lives of other people, it's amazing. And I know it because other sex workers had an impact and have still now an impact on me. So I know that just existing in this world and saying, accepting you are a sex worker with no fear, no shame about it, it's already a big thing.
And if we look at the porn business, how would you say it has changed from when you started and today?
I think the biggest thing is OnlyFans, because we had other platforms where we were selling our work and working, but there is nothing in accessibility and popularity as OnlyFans. Thanks to OnlyFans, also during the pandemic, there were a big thing happening. That was that a lot of performers, mostly from United States, were reporting things that happened to them in porn sets with other performers or companies, because they were not depending anymore on these companies. They were making money in OnlyFans, so they could say now, I work with this performer or this company and they abused me, they exploited me. So of course there are a lot of problems with OnlyFans, and we are always in danger of losing it because of the censorship. But it made a lot of changes and good things to the community too.
Yeah, you started out with even directing your own films by doing the webcam, but now you're talking a lot about producing your own films again. I don't know if you started already in, like, I know you're involved in the process often anyway, but what do you think is missing in the porn industry?
I am directing mostly my things for OnlyFans. Like, OnlyFans gave me the ability to direct myself and to work with other performers or lovers and selling it myself. And this is how I like it now. When I was saying I wanted to direct was before this, where I wanted to direct mostly in Latin America, where this type of porn is not happening much. Now it's changed because a lot of sex workers are creating their own projects there. So I don't know if there is much need of it anymore. But I think what is lacking is accessibility to it. A lot of people don't know how to watch this porn. I think it's easy to do, but a lot of people are all the time complaining about that the porn they see is not diverse enough, or that it's not representative enough, or that they don't see a lot of sexual performances as they would like. I think a lot of companies exist and a lot of videos are out there on the internet, but the problem is that you have to pay for it, and people don't want to pay for porn because we had the belief that it has to be for free. We don't value it as work. Like, we don't see it as, we don't see all the work that is behind it. We don't see that there is maybe 20 people behind backstage. So people don't want to pay for porn. And I think that people that could pay for it, they should, because that's how we can create this other type of porn. If not, there's only going to be left these big tubes where you go and you just have pirated videos or videos online that are mostly mainstream, and the more indie, queer, amateur porn is going to be every time less and less, because people are not going to pay for it. Luckily, there is people doing it because they value what we do and they realize that there is a lot of hard work behind it. But that's, I think, it's one thing that should be changed. And I see a lot of people sometimes complaining because you have to pay for it, but it's the only way we can. Like, you can pay the performers, you can pay the DOP, the stylist, and everything. Like,
get a subscription.
That's
like
how.
on Netflix.
Yeah, like, people don't complain to pay for a dress. Like, they just go and pay it. But with porn, it's different. Like, it's also like this feeling like I should get it for free. Like, I deserve this. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
It's not a necessity also. It's a luxury to be able to watch porn.
Yes,
so why you don't pay it?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of feminists are very aware of that, especially now it's the abortion thing in the US, and it's very much like my body, my rights. But then when it comes to sex work, it seems different. Mm-hmm. What's your view on that?
Yeah, I think like it's really crazy that if we can understand that abortion is going to exist anyway, even if it's criminalized, why with sex work is different? Sex work still exists even if it's criminalized. It doesn't change that there is a law criminalizing it. It just makes it unsafer and more hidden. But we could say the same with abortion. Like, abortion still happens. Like, we make it in illegal places, but or we make it ourselves and then we die because the practice is unsafe. The same is happening with sex work. If we can understand that so deeply and fight so hard with our voice, so powerful about abortion rights, why it's different with sex work? Why the morality about it, it's making us blind and makes that a lot of sex workers are unsafe, dying, and in jail because of the morality view of this. Same happened with drug consumption. Like, the consumption of drugs is gonna still happen even if we don't like drugs, or if we don't take drugs, or if we take it recreationally. There are people taking drugs that are going to jail because of buying it or selling it. There's also people that are dying because of overdoses or fentanyl inside the drugs because of these happenings in clandestine parts of the world where it's not decriminalized. So if we can see this in drug use, in abortion, why it's so different in sex work? Why we are so scandalized about it? And why also there is such a big importance in the feminist world about sex work, but not in other types of work, like people working in the agriculture or cleaning houses. There is no a big fight for stopping trafficking or exploitation there. It's only happening in sex work. So I think the feminist movement also needs to rethink why criminalization of sex work is so important for them, because that's what they are doing with the abolish sex work. They are not abolishing, they are criminalizing.
We are here today with Maria Riot. In our conversation, we talk about porn and sex work as a profession, role models within the field, and what porn performing brings besides... You say which one of them you prefer, or if no one, or if both, but preferably one of the other.
Perfect.
Gangbang or solo?
Solo. Gamma is too tiring.
Too much things to think about.
Yes.
Or distractions. Logical or spiritual?
A little bit of both.
One night stand or long time relationship?
Long time relationships.
Seducing or being seduced?
It is a hard one. Seducing maybe.
Butts or chests?
But yeah, but
This one we got answer on. To dominate or to be dominated?
in work, dominated. In my private life, both.
Bored or enthusiastic?
Enthusiastic.
A stranger or someone you already know?
Someone I already know.
Toys or hands?
Toys.
Verbal or physical?
It depends, but physical.
Yay! Oh, thank you so
Thank you.
much.